What's up, everybody? Retro Flow here, coming at you with the latest, greatest, hottest gameplay. Also, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. What's your favorite retro Yu-Gi-Oh format? Here we got the locals finals from Card Addiction. I'm on the left playing Hero Frog. Oscar's on the right playing his Machina Gadgets. I'm gonna go ahead and go first and summon Stratos, search out Elemental Hero Ocean. Effective Swap Frog, I can discard Elemental Hero Ocean to special summon him, and then he lets me dump Treeborn Frog from deck to grave. Oscar is gonna go next and normal summon Gear Frame, and pretty much that's his Stratos. He searches out his Machina Fortress, and he's gonna go ahead and attack over my Swap Frog for first damage of the game. So at this point in the tournament, we're both 3-0. So it was about like a 15 to 20 player locals this night. So that's why we're just 3-0 and not 4-0. But this is still the finals. So I go ahead and normal summon my Stratos again since I returned it to my hand, and he's gonna go ahead and bottomless on the Elemental Hero Stratos, but effective Stratos still resolves, and I get to search out my Evo Hero Malicious Edge. Elemental Hero Stratos gets banished, and I'm thinking here, how do I want to play it? Because I don't have a monster on board, so I'm probably gonna take a hit next turn, and he is gonna normal summon another Gear Frame on his turn, and he's gonna go ahead and dump both of his Machina Fortress to special summon one of them, and while one's in the grave, he's gonna discard the Machina Force he just searched out in order to special summon the second one. I'm gonna Phoenix Wind Blast one of the Fortress to try to at least slow down his draw, because I'm gonna take all three monsters directly, but if I return one of his Fortress, at least he draws into it next turn. So I draw, and he goes Trap Dust Shoot. He returns Ryza from my hand to my deck, and I'm gonna go ahead and try to go for the dupe block here. So I summon Substitute, tribute my Treeborn Frog, and I'm just gonna combo out at this point. So I did play 2 Machina Gadgets this day. In the round right before this one, I played Paul, and he was playing Machina Gadgets. And in the 2 rounds before that, I played 2 Hero Beats. So I played 2 Hero Beats and 2 Machina Gadgets this day. And it looks like I'm just gonna go ahead and finish on the soft dupe block. So I leave just 1 dupe on board and 1 Substitute on board, but he's in a Torrential. And then I'm gonna go ahead and search off effective dupe when it's sent to the graveyard. So I'm gonna, after Torrential resolves and I search, I'm gonna Miracle Fusion Elemental Hero Ocean and Substitute, make Elemental Hero Absolute Zero. So here, even if I attack into his Fortress won't will live, because he can just detach the Machina Gear Frame that's equipped to him. And here his next draw was the Machina Fortress that I just put back, so it's a little bit slow. My life points are pretty low, so I can't really take too much damage, but he doesn't have much to progress forward. He could attack into my Absolute Zero, but it would kill his Fortress because the Machina Gear Frame would protect it once, and then effective Zero would destroy it once Absolute Zero leaves the field. So he passes his turn. I special summon Treeborn Frog, and here I take a moment to think, because I'm not too sure what the best play would be, but I go ahead and go for another soft dupe block and bring out another dupe. So right now he can only attack the dupe, but effective Substitute is while he's face up, other frog monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. So here I pass it back to him, he draws, and one of the cards in his hand is still the Machina Fortress that I sent back, and 1 brand new mystery card that I don't know. And here he's thinking how aggressive does he want to be, but he can't really do too much. He could, if he draws into a gadget, he can normal summon it, search out another gadget, but then he would be taking damage if his face down trap is a fake trap. But he goes ahead and passes his turn, so I go ahead and draw, standby, bring out Treeborn Frog, summon swap, effective swap, return back my Treeborn from field to hand, and I set one card, set one trap, and I go ahead and pass it back to him. And here he's pretty much stuck. A lot of his monsters rely on battle, so the whole point of the gadget deck is to add a bunch of gadgets to hand and then special summon out their big guy, which is Machina Fortress, and then just attack. If you somehow kill the Machina Fortress by a battle, which is at 2500, it has an effect to destroy one card the opponent controls, so it could be any card. And here he searches out the gadget and he does that play, which he just special summons out another fortress. And on his end phase, I'm debating on whether to go aggressive next turn, and I do it. So on his end phase, I use my Phoenix Wind Blast and I return his face down trap because I'm not too sure what it could be. But on my next turn, if my play goes through, then that's pretty much guaranteeing that my play is gonna go through. So standby, bring out the Treeborn, and I bounce it. And at this point, I'm thinking I should go for it, but I'm a little hesitant because I know that if I summon a Monarch and target his Machina Fortress, he can look at my hand and discard any card in my hand, which is another of the Machina Fortress effects when it's targeted by a monster effect. And here I am taking a while to think, but at the end I think I do decide to just go for it. So I'm gonna go ahead and brain control one of his Machina Fortress. So I was at 11. After paying 800 for brain control, I'm at 300. I take the Machina Fortress that's equipped with the gear frame, that way I don't have to destroy it twice. And I was thinking of just attacking here, but I decided that it's probably best if I just tribute away his Machina Fortress and then just go in for an attack. Because I could tribute his Machina Fortress and return his other one on his field to his top deck, which is kind of a break for him, but he does get to look at my hand and he discards my Junk Synchron. But at least now my attacks can all go through. So here my absolute zero is at 4000 attack because I have 3 waters on my field. Attack over his gadget, Ryza attacks directly, and then Swap Frog attacks directly. So that's a total of 6000 damage. So he was at full, but that brought him back down to 2000. And all he can really do is normal special summon the Machina Fortress, but that's not going to save him against a Ryza. So here we got game 2, and he's gonna go first. Normal summon Kaiku, set a trap, and he draws into his side, so he goes ahead and flips up the Mask of Restrict immediately, which is the smart play to do because you don't want to give your opponent a chance to try to tribute. So I normal summon Stratos again, and I search out Malicious Edge, crash into his Kaiku, and I set one card and one spell or trap, and I end my turn. And then he goes and sets 2 spells or traps, and he passes his turn. So here I'm gonna normal summon my Elemental Hero Ocean, and it gets Bottomless, which is another smart play because now I just lost a water target for a Miracle Fusion. and he goes and normal summons green Gadget, which when it's summoned it searches out red Gadget, sets another trap, and he passes his turn. So I'm thinking I have to Phoenix Windblast his Masker Restrict, because I do need tributes. I do need to let tributes happen, but on resolution he just goes ahead and does another Masker Restrict. So regardless, I'm stuck, and he forces out my Miracle Fusion here, which I only have an Earth in my grave and Stratos, so I can only make my elemental hero Gaia. Gaia, when it's summoned, he targets one monster the opponent controls, it loses half of its attack, and then he gains that half. And I attack, and my elemental hero Gaia runs into Magic Cylinder, so I take 2900. On his turn, he summons another Gadget and searches out another Gadget, and he's gonna go ahead and set a trap, set 2 traps, and then this turn, here I switch my elemental hero Gaia to defense, because I'm thinking one of those is a dimensional prison or a mirror force, so it's probably best if I just don't attack. And I set 2 traps as well, and then my turn, he's gonna normal summon yellow Gadget, but he has no targets. So here it's a best case scenario for me if he can't search anymore, but regardless, I have a really slow hand. I can't really do much besides set, and I pass it back to him, and he sets another trap. So now he has a full 5 traps on board, and all I could really do is set another monster. He passes his turn, I set another trap, pass it back to him. He Mystical Space Typhoons the new card, which was my Dimensional Prison. And right here he's debating on going for a more aggressive play, and I think he does go ahead and do it at this point, because he sees that I'm not able to do anything. I can't really use my Monarchs because the Masker Restrict is still face up. So he uses Brain Control on my Gaia, and he tries to attack me with my Gaia, and he runs into, I believe I flip up a trap. Yeah, I flip up Super Polymerization, so I discard a card, and I get to fusion summon with monsters on either side of the field only. And I use my face down Substitute and elemental hero Absolute Zero, but on summon he goes ahead and does Torrential Tribute. Torrential destroys Dupe Frog, which allows me to search for a Swap Frog, but it's pretty useless at this point because Master Restrict is still face up. And as you can see, I drew into Treeborn Frog, so that was worst case scenario for me. I try to attack with Swap Frog and it just ends up getting banished, and I pass it back to him, and he discards Machina Fortress and his Cyber Giant to special summon the Machina Fortress. He attacks me and I'm at 1200, so there's not much I could do other than to try to go for another Miracle Fusion. And I go for the Miracle Fusion, making another Absolute Zero, but we're both tied in attack, the Machina Fortress and Absolute Zero, so I can't really break his board right here. Pass it back to him after setting 1, and at this point I think he sees that he can just go for game, so he goes Compulse on my monster. He normal summons Absolute Zero, blows up his fortress, but then he can just normal summon his gear frame, search out Machina Force, and then I just try to prolong the game by going enemy controller, switching his gear frame to defense, and I set a card. And he actually flips up a Dimensional Fissure, which is actually really, it's an auto win against frogs because any monster sent to the graveyard is banished. And the Machina deck can actually abuse that card, because they don't really play off grave compared to frogs. And he flips up another Mask of Restrict. So Mask of Restrict and Dimensional Fissure is just brutal against frogs. If they can't clear on both of those, yeah, it's pretty much game. And he had a bunch of traps face down, so I wouldn't be surprised if he was protecting them with a Starlight Road. So I go first again on game 3, normal summon Stratos, and I set one card, one spell or trap. He normal summons green Gadget, searches out red Gadget, and he sets 3 face down spell traps, and he passes it back to me. And on my draw phase, he goes and flips up Mask of Restrict. And on main phase, I'm gonna go Heavy Storm to try to blow up his Mask of Restrict and his other 2 face down cards. And here he's debating on letting it resolve or not, which indicates to me that he doesn't have Starlight Road, otherwise he would have flipped it face up by now. I go ahead and chain Phoenix Windblast, targeting his Mask of Restrict to return it back to top deck. But he chaining 3, he goes Mystical Space Typhoon, targeting Mask of Restrict so that it goes to graveyard instead of the top of the deck. So the reason I did that was because I wanted him to draw the Mask of Restrict, and I discarded my Monarch so that I wouldn't really need tribute summons this game. And I think he saw that coming, so he just went Mystical Space on his own Mask of Restrict. I lost a card in that exchange, an additional card I didn't need to lose, but I was just trying to make him draw the Mask of Restrict so that I could apply a lot more pressure next turn. So I just attack over his monster. Swap Frog gets to attack directly as well, bringing him down to 66. He normal summons red Gadget, he gets to search yellow Gadget, and then he's just gonna go ahead and attack over Swap Frog for 300 and set 3 more cards, and that's his turn. So draw phase, standby, I bring out Treeborn, normal summon my Stratos, and I get to search out a hero card, so I get out Elemental Evil Hero Malicious Edge. And I have more plays that I could make, but those 3 back row are a little scary, so I'm debating of whether or not to just attack with Stratos and try to see if he has a Dimensional Prison or not. But I don't attack, and I pass it to him. He normal summons his yellow Gadget, and surprisingly he doesn't search, so that indicates to me he has the target in his hand. So on my turn, I normal Substitute, tribute my Treeborn Frog, and I go for Swap Frog. Effective Swap Frog, I can bounce back to Stratos, and then I tribute my Swap Frog with Substitute, and at this point I'm gonna go ahead and make the soft dupe block. So here, Soul Exchange, I target his red Gadget, tribute it so that I can special summon a frog from my deck. But that's gonna that card allows me to skip my battle phase this turn, which is fine because my frogs don't even have high attack to kill any of his monsters. They're all at 100. So I have Sub on board, Dupe on board, and a Treeborn on board. Sub protects my frogs, and then the Dupe Frog is the only monster that could be attacked, but he goes and brain controls, tributing my Dupe Frog and his Gadget to normal summon Machina Fortress, and he attacks over my Substitute, inflicting 2400. And he passes his turn, and at this point I'm sensing that I should just go for it. So I Miracle Fusion, I make Absolute Zero, and I do still have the Stratos in my hand that I returned. So I'm thinking here I should just go ahead and destroy one of his face down cards. So normal summon Stratos, and I hit a giant Trunade. I absolute zeros at 3000 because he's boosted. So I beat over his Machina Fortress, effect the Machina Fortress. He destroys my Stratos because he doesn't want to take 1800 directly. And at this point we're in turns. It looks like it's turn 4 right now. So this is his last turn. So that's why he doesn't want to take more damage. So he sets 2 cards and he passes. And I believe this is turn 5 right here. So I get the last turn. So I tribute my Treeborn from Malicious Edge, which inflicts piercing battle damage. And he goes ahead and scoops it up. And that's going to be the win for the night for first place. Stay tuned for more gameplay.